Hi, I'm Old Sneelock. Welcome to another episode of Old Sneelock's Workshop. I'm putting together the spring, and the torsion spring has a mount out here on the end's got a bearing in it because it's got a big long shaft that rolls back and forth. That piece of steel tubing down there. And this is how they're supposed to go. And that's all well and good, but it's going to require 6 3/8 by 3/4 inch bolts, just like this. And they gave me 4. So I'm going to have to find another 2. I'm going to be able to put up this one, but then I'll only have 1 in the other one, which means it's got to be more than that, because I got to have 2 to hold this bracket onto the angle. Then I got to have 1 to hold the angle onto this tie-in to the frame. So I need some more parts. We were doing good up to this point, but then we're just finding out what's going on. Well, I have the 4 bolts in holding this bracket on. Now I have to put all the springs and hardware on that shaft. Then I have to lift that shaft up and slide it into that bearing so that I can slide the bearing in on the other end. It's not going to be easy, but it's got to be done. That came off easy enough. Set the black winding cone on there with the set screws facing in. Now I'm going to tighten these set screws up just finger tight so it doesn't slide off. There. Now I should be able to slip this up and into that. Always sounds good, doesn't it? I might want to take that spring off. I don't know if I need that spring on there right now. Spring's going to be an additional load that I'd have to carry up there. If I get them up and I get the bearings mounted, I can slide this one that way into the tube and then slide the springs on and everything, and then slide it back in and set it in the bearing mounts. That'll take all the weight off my hands so that I can do this one step at a time. Put the piece of tubing up, slide the cones on. They should slide past the... I think I want to have the cone on this end already. Well, despite all my thoughts to the contrary, I ended up not doing any of this stuff. Well, I did put up the springs, but not anything like what I'm talking about here. But, you know, when you're first starting out, you're trying to figure out how you're going to do something, and you know the prints say you got to have 2 people to do it, and you don't have 2 people, you just got to improvise, adapt, overcome. I'm not going to put the strap to. That's not such a good plan. I need to get the other bracket up there so that I can slide it in and slide it back. Do it entirely empty, just the shaft. Okay, I'm just going to put the tube up into the bearings. No springs, no nothing, just the tube. With that in place, it'll be sitting straight and level. I'll be able to set. With just the tube will be sitting straight and level. And this bracket on the left-hand side, and one similar to it on the right-hand side, the one I just put in. Then I can set this up there in position using the tube to level everything up and make sure that it's all the right distance. That's after I got this piece of galvanized pipe up there. Now that's a piece of galvanized tubing, that's not pipe. Too thin wall. Okay, so go get another bolt so I can put this bracket on and then come back and set that tube up there. So before I get there, I'm going to plug this spring up and set it here on the floor. Sitting there out of the way. It'll be interesting.
Now I know I make it look easy, and I'm just one guy, so it must be it's easy enough for one guy to do it, right? Well, you got to remember, I'm editing. I'm editing the crap out of this video because I spend an awful lot of time just going, oh, I got to go get a ladder. Well, I got to go get a bolt. Well, I got to go get a screwdriver. Now I got to have a wrench. Now I got to get down and get the bolt that I brought. I spend an awful lot of time just climbing up and down ladders. Also, if I'm standing in the middle, I can reach out and touch 6 feet on either side of me. But I can't get out to the full 8 feet. So I can only reach one end at a time. Trying to fish a 16-foot pole into a 1-inch hole 16 feet away from you is quite a feat. But it's just one of them things that you got to do when you're working by yourself. One-man band still has to play. Well, right about now, I bet you're wondering, what the heck is he doing? He's putting bolts in, then he's taking bolts out, and then he's getting down off the ladder, walking down the other way, side of the door, and then he's walking back, and then he climbs up and does something different. And he does something different again. And then he takes it apart and does it again. Well, I have to tell you, my drawing shows something that it's a torsion spring. And the torsion spring actually is a very common kind of way to open a garage door now. The ones on my house would...
Now as we look up at this torsion spring on the old doors on the garage, you can see that they're not the same. I mean, there's some similarities. It has the spring on it, has this thing for the holes in there so you can preload the spring to help balance out the door weight. But there's no center bracket. There's just a bracket over here on the end, and the cable winds up on a straight drum, one on each side, and the cable goes down and attaches at the bottom just like the one out in the new garage. But that's where the similarity ends. The bearings are different, the mounts are different, the way it bolts up is different, the tracks are different, everything is different because it's new and improved. These have the long radius door. Probably because of the way the door folds, it needs to have the longer radius to make it so that it can go around the corner well. It also has these double trolleys. This was a good door. This is an adjuster so you can fit it to the track so it rides in the track the way it's supposed to. And like I said, these doors are 60 years old. Well, more than that actually. It was built in 1960 and this is It was built in 1960 and this is 2023, so it's about 63 years old, give or take. But it's a good door. And they give you the name of the company, that Johnston's Door Sales and Service, Kalamazoo, Michigan. Yep, I wonder if Johnston's Door is still around. I'll have to look it up just to see. Anyways, so these doors are different. I came out and looked at these doors and thought, oh, well, I won't get any pointers from this. I mean, there are some similarities, but there's a lot more differences.
Sure, probably 60 years old, have torsion springs on them. It's not unusual, but they're always different. The torsion springs on both of my doors on the house garage are the same. They were bought about the same time, the door's the same, everything matches. But this one, evidently, they made a print based on an earlier drawing and said, well, you know, if we change it a little bit, it won't make much difference. Well, it does, because they have you put bolts in different holes. Well, for like one thing, it says if you have 15-inch radius track, then you have to use this set of holes. If you have 12-inch radius tracks, then you have to use this set of holes. Okay, I don't know why there's a difference of 3 inches, but that's the way they did it. Now, it all sounds good, but then I went and I started putting it together, and the one for the 15-inch track didn't quite fit, and the one for the 12-inch track didn't quite fit. So I had to kind of shift things around. That's why I did the south side first, thinking that I would learn from the south side and take what I learned and put it on the north side. Well, that was true, except the holes are a little bit off. The spacing is a little bit off, you know, because you've got to remember the north side of the barn is about 4 inches longer between joists than it is on the south side of the barn. Long story, and we already talked about that. So I'm putting the thing in there, and I'm trying to fit the screws in, and I'm finding that I have to take a pry bar and pull the holes back in and line them up so I get the bolts in. Okay, that's all well and good. I get it done, and life goes on.
Part of the fun of being a one-man band. I have to fish this 1-inch galvanized metal tube up through those two bearings. Well, it's kind of what I wanted. What I was hoping for is this thing would stand up there without a big belly in it. Doesn't look like that's going to happen. But I can do a good guess on where this bracket's going to end up. It is interesting that this bracket doesn't match the drawing. And I'm thinking this is supposed to be something that just drops in and then slides in on either side. Since the door is supposed to be fairly level, you can take it out there about ½ an inch. This is sticking out about 4 inches. I can shift it towards the north a little bit. Give me a little better support. Get up there and measure the distance to the center of that shaft where I want it to be. support of the top door.
I went to put the pipe in and found that the pipe sagged. Sagged a good 3 inches, so I couldn't just use it to level the bearing up. It would have put a permanent kink in the tube and would have been flexing and just not good. So I leveled it up and set them all at 8 1/4 set the tube 8 1/4 from the top of the door. That made it level and straight. So I got that done. But as you can see, it's not easy putting this bracket in. The bracket's designed to go into a 2x6 plate that's supposed to be into the studs of a wooden wall. Well, this is a 2x2 steel tube, which means that the bracket will fit on it, but there's not much to tie into. So I'm having to come up with creative ways to make this thing attach and have some strength. On Sunday, we celebrated our 47th wedding anniversary. It was a joyous occasion. We sat around and watched videos and talked, and Lydia came out to the workshop and helped me put up the door, and oh good Lord, what a big fun time we had. So, I want to tell everyone I'm very happy that I spent 47 years with the same lady. A very nice person. I love her dearly. Nope, she didn't tell me to say that. That's something I came up with on my own. Hard to believe it took 4 hours to make all this video, but it did. Some of it's because it just takes a lot of time to walk around and do things. But anyways, it's done. I got the tube up, and I'm going to go in the house. If you have any suggestions for a new video, questions about today's video, or any of the other videos on the channel, just drop a note in the comments. You know I read them all. Trying something new. I'm going back in the old videos, clipping out shorts, and want to see if that's going to make any difference. If it sounds good, let me know in the comments. I'd appreciate it. Thanks.
This video is not to be viewed by anyone under the age of 13 in the U.S. or 16 in the European Union without the express written permission of the parents or the legal guardians of the underage person. Such written permission must be on file at the local government entity in charge of enforcing the rules and regulations established by the FTC. Anyone violating these terms is admitting by default that they hold harmless the owners and operators of this channel. Any and all questions should be addressed to your local branch of the FTC.